It's a fact you're not here. You ain't even real, but you still bring me fear. You make my bones so tired that my soul stands up. But now I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. It's like I'm starting to need to bleed to fill this cup. Oh.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Working Wing Podcast, the podcast where every week we watch some episodes of The West Wing and break them down from our own unique working leftist perspective. My name is Tim Schultz, and joining me, as always, a man who actually likes both sports and theater, Killian Collins.
Well, thank you, Tim. You know, there's both something about them, and throughout human history that just keeps people going back to those two things. And
It really is.
whether you call it opiate, well, you know, whether you call it an opiate for the masses and the grand circus of distraction or not, like it's still part of the human experience. You can't get away from
Well, I mean, what Marx called the opiate of the masses was like what you might call like a third pillar that is also endured throughout human history. But
yeah,
that's a conversation.
But essentially, it serves the same purpose from what he was getting at too.
Yeah.
So it's like, right. That's a whole other thing, and you know, you're perspective about that too. But you know, either way, I still like my sports and theater. You know, as distracting as they are.
I do too. We contain multitudes.
Yeah, that we do. So yeah, we're starting off with the last two episodes of this finale here.
Yeah.
Kind of excited to talk about this one, considering what
They're
happened.
two like very interconnected episodes. Like I think we're gonna have some good discussion here.
Yeah.
Because these issues are, and I'm like honestly not sure what you said we were gonna fight, and I'm honestly not sure like where you land on some of these issues versus where you think I'm gonna land on some of these issues.
Maybe.
I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Right. Like it's. I mean, yeah, we'll get into it, but it starts off with the president in the Situation Room with you know, Fitzpatrick and all the generals and Leo around him, and they're talking about the Kumar head of defense is this dirty guy Shamir. They basically make the whole profile of like why
Abdul Sharif,
yeah. And the president says, no, we're gonna use the Justice Department. We're gonna arrest him. That's
right. Well, and it starts off with kind of like a lot of these Situation Rooms scenes are like, look how fucking good the surveillance state is, guys.
Yeah.
Like, because this was still in those first months post 9/11. We had all just sold our souls and passed the Patriot Act. Everyone except
well, yeah, it's like Russ Feingold, yeah.
Yeah, everyone except Russ Feingold had agreed to the Patriot Act. And this is Aaron Sorkin being like, guys, look how fucking good the surveillance state is, all right? We have pictures of this motherfucking guy doing the terrorism all over the world.
No way this is dress rehearsal for any of you guys at all.
Right,
no
exactly.
way. But they're not interested in what you guys have to say. It's just the bad guys, you know. Unless you're like the ex of like an FBI agent or an NSA agent. Then
could be.
If you're the ex of one of those, you're probably gonna get stalked.
We'll get to that later too. There's some interesting language I want to get to later. But yes.
But speaking of
Bartlett is committed to international law here. As we know, these neoliberal Democrats they're so goddamn committed to international law. All right, we're gonna do this by the book. Sharif is gonna stand trial in an American court.
We're not gonna torture some folks. And if we do, we're just gonna go back and kind of say like, yeah, honey, this happened. I visited the stripper. And is
that your Obama? Are you doing Obama right now?
Yeah, I'm doing my little Obama. We tortured some folks, like with the type of like subtlety of like, yes, you're telling your wife something like you shouldn't have done, but it's happened now. It's happened now. She slobbered my knob, but it's over now. It's fine.
Sam Alito and Clarence Thomas, and John Paul Stevens say it's okay. So.
They say it's okay. That's fine. Okay, and that's what we're gonna stick with. Okay, I'm not proud of it. Not proud of it, but it happened. But then speaking of a relationship, like relationships that will end badly with your ex probably stalking you with his governmental powers, we get Josh and Amy and Josh bang hanging, what I'm calling it, at her house, who were just like kind of like listening to food, like listening to music loudly and having a good time, having a good coupley time with each other, while Josh is on the phone with Donna telling her that she's got to go to Bismarck to do to clean up Sam's mess of not wanting to go there.
I have a note about this later. So much of what we see the government doing in this show, and I know this was 20 years ago, whatever. So much of this could have been a fucking email.
There's a lot of scenes I have in here that I kind of just was like, yeah, I'm more focusing on like this other part, so I just kind of wrote down they just talk about.
I mean, anytime, fucking CJ and Secret Agent Man are on screen together, I just have yawn in big block letters.
Well, which sucks because it seems like what's her name? The actress playing CJ is having a great time. Like,
yeah, they have they have good chemistry. It's just like I do not fucking care about this storyline.
Yeah, I do. I'm glad we felt the same thing on that. Well, I'm glad we're not going to argue about that. But there's to say about. I think there's some things we both got to say about that. But yeah, Josh is telling Donna she got to go to Bismarck to talk about why North Dakota needs to keep North in its name so they can keep 50 states and not have like a Virginia and Dakota and South Virginia and South Dakota situation and West.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't want like a civil war breaking out in the Dakotas.
No, we wouldn't.
That would be a terrible mess.
So many. I mean, so many industries that are running there, and
so many dozens of people. The entire population would be devastated.
But anyway, Amy and Josh are having a good time. They don't really like give a fuck about anything. He's sending Donna because they don't want to send Sam, and they don't really give a fuck. I don't really give a fuck either. Sam shuts down this like this idea from some of the office workers, these two women office workers that came in. And he shuts them down on like on this idea about like tax on like a sugar tax.
They want to float a sugar tax to pay for like wetland restoration.
Yeah, and he says that's like looks like you're helping Richie as an opponent. Like
basically like you're targeting Rick. It's a politically targeted initiative. Yeah.
Right. Then Josh has his meeting that he forgot about on the Sunday, and it's basically to pass this bill on this welfare reform bill.
Yes. Yeah, and this is another one where I have, because we see him go to this meeting, right?
Yeah.
And the entire meeting consists of they walk down the aisle to Josh's office, exchange a couple of words, and then before even getting into Josh's fucking office, he's like, all right, I'm off. That could have been a fucking email. Like, what are we doing here?
Like, why'd I drive all the way down
it's
here?
It's not like the mid-'80s. This is early 2000s. Like, they had email, right? They
mid-'80s, mid-'80s too. It's like they're coming up with cell phone. You would have had like someone like call and like ring out and like reach out to the person. Like any of these things. There was faxes. There was like other shit besides like I have to drag my ass there. Like it's like the fucking like shit before telegrams.
Yeah,
could have been a fucking telegram for God's sake.
It honestly could have been. But yeah, so this meeting is about this quote unquote meeting is like, you can have your welfare authorization bill, but you need these marriage incentives in there.
Marriage incentives and working and like and you have
and the 38-hour work requirement,
which would have been the
that would have been my main like
that would have been my hard
Amy
line.
That's barely an afterthought for Amy. But
right. No, for Josh too. It's just like, well, that's one thing. Well, yeah, I did that, but it's like the marriage incentives. And I'm just like, well, okay, like, I also disagree with like I don't disagree with the concept of marriage incentives, but I disagree.
It's not the worst thing.
I disagree with it to get welfare.
Yeah.
That's where I think it's like this is stupid. Like
just detach that from welfare and you've actually just basically got the fucking US tax code.
Yeah.
Because there are already a shit ton of tax incentives to be married anyways.
Yep. Hey, I mean shit. Like, hey, I'm for that. Like with like I'm for it with an extent if you're trying to make families and trying to like build a population or something. It's like, yeah,
Right.
you want to incentivize things like that. Okay, that's great. But it's like with welfare, you're just like you're just having like just more loops for these poor people to
Right.
fucking jump
Exactly.
through,
Exactly.
which is ridiculous. And it's also that like, I mean, Amy had this point about like, well, you're just gonna make single mothers marry the fathers of their children, which is just like, okay, I don't think they're forcing the marriage, but it's also just like
Right. Well, like again, like the U.S. tax code already incentivizes you to do that. Like it's
yeah. Pretty much, but yeah, that's the proposal. And then the president and Leo, and obviously, Josh is kind of the whip on this. He's kind of the whip. The guy's
he's the one who's got to make all this happen.
Yeah. So President and Leo are at the Veterans Graveyard for Mrs. Landingham, which I was really confused because I thought that graveyard was like, because like not my grandpa's body's there, but his memorial grave is there at that grave site. But it's like I'm pretty sure that's reserved for soldiers. So I was like kind of like wondering if it was about like the shooting.
Oh yeah, I don't think it's it's not the same gravesite or
okay,
grave.
it's not the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, but it has that sort of like presence with it. And then Leo tells President puts flowers on Ms. Lanham's grave. Then he goes
to
Surveillance
Day wins again. They have a phone call. They were like, it was like a meeting intercepted through a radar gun. Or whatever.
They're like a laser beam.
Yeah, like laser beam like sci-fi shit Aaron Sorkin is writing here. But they have
it's also a death laser, but don't worry about that. We only use that for bad guys.
They have Abdul Sharif talking about how his plan to blow up the Golden Gate Bridge failed, but that he's gonna try again real soon.
Right. Staff is meeting with the president over going to this War of the Roses Shakespeare musical. That's like 5 hours long. They decide not. They vote on not going to it with the archbishops, and Toby asks Sam to like write the denial of like why they're not going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, this is as a millennial, this is very because I love canceling plans, and then
right. No, that's
as a millennial. I love canceling plans and then feeling awkward about it. So this scene, I was really vibing with the White House staff.
we need to think of good lie. We need to think of a really
exactly.
we can't be like posting on like Instagram about this. So you can't be like doing like any snaps when you're at the beach and saying you're sick. Then we get to the president's war room. They want to president wants to arrest him. President's willing to plant heroin or whatever on them to arrest him. Frame up the guy, Stephen Abraham.
Yeah, Bartlett really shows his like inner cop here. He's like, we'll plant heroin on him if we have to.
It's like it doesn't matter. We know he's bad enough. It does. Right. So he's bad enough to do. Which
is kind of like. I mean, I guess he really is upholding. He said he wants this to happen in the American justice system, and by planting evidence and saying he doesn't care, what we can prove, he's truly embodying the American justice system.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a realistic story. It's a realistic way the government we actually do these things in this country on a fictional country.
Yeah,
which makes a bit more sense with this plot line of why they have this fictional country. It's less about calling out and more just like, well, do we not have the plot line where like he like kills the ambassador to like Qatar and like we're like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that shit at all. Yeah. So yeah, I understand it's a little messy why they made this like fake country that's obviously Qatar, but the president and Leo talk about marriage incentives and about like how they hate them. Which would just like that's the thing is it's like I'm just wondering like, well. Yeah, under the context of welfare, yes, you need to jump through this hoop to get this extra that like you should pretty much just have already, just in terms of wages and what you're actually working for, and like just not really needing the support, but like more of a stupid hoop to like appease Republicans. But they were arguing on like it was kind of just like grumpy old man jokes. Like,
it was like the Catskills. Yeah, Bart with his polishing his Type 5.
Yeah. Donna is at the Bismarck dinner.
Oh, there was a scene. We're totally skipping over. There was a Secret Service /CJ scene, right? I just have yawn in there, so I don't know when
Yeah,
that comes.
it doesn't matter. It was probably at first. Don't that doesn't really matter until like the second.
The last
episode,
thing, yeah, for sure.
Donna's at the Bismarck and well, not at the Bismarck. She's in Bismarck, North Dakota, and she recites the very carefully written statement that Josh gave her, and she answers an obvious question about tourism from this couple that's like, South Dakota gets more money in tourism, and she's like, because they have Mount Rushmore, and
yeah,
that's okay.
Like sorry, you guys should have stolen some better land from the natives as well.
Make a national park or something.
Yeah,
I don't know, like, and then yeah, we go back to Amy's apartment where it's very sexy college, busy study dorm energy, where she's like making a stew and like she's drinking wine, just doing her damn thing. Her man comes in and he's just like, "Hey, I gotta go the welfare committee." Yeah,
right. No, yeah, he's like, "I want a beer and stew and my hot, sexy woman and the Yankee game." And then he's like, "But then tomorrow I gotta push this welfare bullshit through." And then she freaks out, destroys his phone, and
very casually. It's like it's very casual. It's like, and I was almost thinking of like, yeah, this is like almost like almost domestic abuse situation. Like the start
almost, but like, yeah.
Because honestly, if the shoe was on the other foot and he was doing this, it'd be like, yeah, dude, like you're like kind of trapping her, dude. Like this is terrible, bro. Like, what are you doing? Like, but she's a feminist, so she's gonna be rocking this, like, like all day. Not letting him communicate with like anyone he needs to.
I mean, to be fair, yeah, she destroys his cell phone, but then she cuts like her own phone line as well.
I was wondering that was like a cutting your nose to spite your face type of move there, like
probably so.
Which also too, if that was a man doing that with his new girlfriend,
you're like, oh man,
right?
If Sam Seymour were doing this, we'd be eviscerating him for sure.
But Amy's hot, so I mean,
she is hot.
It's just like right. And
did you ever watch this actress's other show, Weeds?
Yeah, I know I've seen her on Weeds. I didn't watch all of it though. Like
after the third season, it fell off a cliff.
Yeah, I mean that's how it goes. Sometimes that's how it was going for the shows in that time period. But I do gotta say I have a little note here about like Josh secretly likes it because like the way he was staring back at her.
He likes it. He likes it. He's into it.
Right. Yeah, so then we get the stupid North Dakota hearing. The Sam's creepy friend compliments her for doing so well and answering a question with poise from that dumb Midwestern couple. And says like, but yeah, we're Sam. We don't want like you here. And she's like, yes, sir. I'll tell Sam to come here. And I'm like, wow.
She was like, you're just so beneath Sam, which is a huge burn, actually.
Well, yeah. Well, and also just like not compliment her. I'm just like, yeah, yo, you're fine, but yeah, where's our real guy though? Like, we're second secretaries. CJ wants to fire a gun with her bodyguard. I did mention this one because this is the stupidest joke I've seen like in every single time where it's like in like a storyline where like someone's just like rudimentary introduction to guns. Here's a 357. Bang! Oh, look at her. She fell over because she didn't understand the kickback, which I was thinking of like also worst bodyguard ever.
Yeah,
like just like hands her that his weapon. Like it's just like she could blow her own damn arm off, man. Like, like it's like you're just gonna like hand her, especially that powerful ass 357. It just like hands it to her, doesn't warn her about shit. And yeah, so they fall down. There's the whole flirty energy of like, okay, I'm gonna stand behind you and hold your weapon for you. You hold your weapon like that. Okay, make sure we gotta breathe. Okay, breathe. All that shit, like. And then he shows off and fires three.
Yeah, he's an expert fucking marksman.
Apparently,
a guy like that could totally stop a armed robbery.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's just like I imagine if that were to happen, he just would like be guns drawn and like fire right precisely, and that's gonna get him out of that situation too. Leo, Josh, and Toby all talk about what kind of archbishop excuse we are with the millennial storyline. Talk about riling Sam up, and yeah, they got to rile him up to like get him in his back in his like groove again after his huge it's like
his huge
debacle.
But no, it's all about like, yeah, Sam is such an important asset. We need him to be in the right frame of mind when we deploy the brilliant and vicious operative that is Sam Seaboy.
And then the president gets called to the Situation Room, which they learn that that intel that we got about Sahir about from the Russians, like turns out they tortured a guy to get that, so it might not be the most reliable.
Here. This is utter rape bullshit, and I think you and I both know it, right? Because here they are drawing a clear distinction. They have two different informants in this case. One is in FBI custody, and one is in Russian custody. And they're like, sir, the Russians, they tortured their guy.
So it's not reliable.
It's not reliable. The FBI, the FBI, of course, just managed to get a confession out of him through just they're the FBI. They're the good old FBI.
They were really just smart, and they asked him really nicely.
They asked him the right questions, sir, and they definitely didn't, sleep deprive him for like 48 hours and then hose him down with like high powered food. They definitely didn't spend like weeks playing like loud music so they could never have a moment of peace or
they didn't beat him either. Yes, they put a collar on him. Yeah. They did put a collar on him and they threw his head against the wall. But they didn't hit him with their fists though. Like
no, they used phone books like good old American boys. They use phone books.
Right, you gotta do things like the right way. So then the president, out of moral objection, this is the part where it gets fictional. It was fictional just a second ago, but yeah, the president decides to cancel the trip for the different.
Yeah, he's like, all right, call this guy off. We'll have to fucking deal with him another way.
Yeah. To which the war room is very disappointed because they want to roast a guy. And then to which we have a conversation between Leo and Fitzgerald.
All right. So let's get into this, right?
Because I was a little confused with parts of it too. Because I was like, okay, like I thought that this Fitzgerald was like, because at first they're talking about like, oh yeah, it's Fitzwallace. Yes, sorry, Fitzpatrick. It's my Irish shit. But Fitzwallace was talking about shampoo, yada yada. Okay, peacetime and wartime. What's the deal with like I can never tell.
He asked Leo. He's like I used to know the difference between peacetime and wartime. We haven't actually declared war. It's kind of weird that he says this because we haven't actually declared a war within Fitzwallace's lifetime.
Yeah.
So like all the shit he was doing in Vietnam as a kid, like that wasn't during wartime.
My great grandfather died in Korea, which is considered to be not a real war.
Right, exactly. That wasn't a war, Fitz. That was peacetime, okay? But yes, he says, I can't tell the difference between what's a war and what's peacetime anymore.
Could America really ever since he was born?
Probably not. Probably not. But the point he's making, the point he's trying to make is that during the last declared war that America fought in, we assassinated the head of the Japanese military, Admiral Yamamoto.
Yep.
We knew we had intercepted communications. We knew exactly where his plane was going to be, and they sent a targeted mission to shoot him down. It was a straight up and down assassination of a military leader. And he's making the argument that in this situation, killing Sharif would be the same thing.
And that's weird to me because he was really reminiscing about Agincourt and stuff. And he's like,
Agincourt, right. And he's trying to make this whole bullshit, let's set aside his bullshit, his / Aaron Sorkin's whole, we glorifying the, medieval Western practices of war.
Ancient war too, it was all so civilized.
Right, exactly. He's full of shit. He's absolutely full of shit. And you could go into a whole thing of how they did not have the type of live communications back then that would have allowed them to plan the assassination of political or military leaders any fucking way.
Yeah.
Like they had no idea where anybody was at any given time because they didn't have fucking like phones or radar or telegraph or any of that shit.
Like treating it as if like, yeah, well, if the French wanted to kill like Lionheart, like they could have.
Right, exactly.
It didn't
If the
occur to
French
them.
knew,
It didn't
if
occur
it
to
didn't
them.
occur to them, if they knew where William Pitt was, they would have fucking tried to kill him.
Right.
Absolutely.
If they had the opportunity, they would have done it. Kind of how like, you know, this like little like this little fake country's defense minister is like doing right now. It's like, yeah, if you can find the opportunity to attack his enemy, he will do it. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Kind of exactly like that. But yeah, no, he does. Yeah, he basically justifies that. Well, we should do this to this here guy because we try to go by how many civilians we don't kill, which I was like, okay, well, that's bullshit too. Because he says, well, for them, they go by how many civilians they kill. And I'm like, well, here's the thing though, Fitzwallace, you don't count how many civilians you actually kill. you just usually don't count them in like your body count of like the terms of ones that you're killing.
Right. You go by mission success or mission failure. So when like Leo bombed that village, like we literally heard about how Leo like bombed villages in like Cambodia under orders from his commander, and it didn't matter that he killed a shit ton of civilians that day. He accomplished his objective.
Yeah.
To the American military, that's a success.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing it right the fuck now playing out in Gaza, right? Like, if they blow up an entire fucking city block to kill 3 Hamas operatives, that's a success to both the Israelis and the U.S. military.
Yep. Exactamundo. Yeah, and then Leo just gets up and leaves for the meeting because it's like, he gets up and leaves in that awkward stuff. The meeting was already over, but like
while Fitzwallace is having a one-on-one to Leo, be like, you gotta tell the president, we gotta kill this motherfucker.
Yeah.
Which, like, I want to say, all right, maybe this makes me like us. I am not necessarily against the utilization of assassination.
I mean, I don't know.
Necessarily. We can get more into this when Bartlett starts talking about it, but I don't necessarily agree that assassination is an absolute wrong.
I mean, I think John Wilkes Booth agrees with you.
Right. Sure.
Like, I think there'd be a lot of bad people that agree with that. I think that there's a couple good people that agree with that.
Yeah. Like, there are a couple good people who would agree with that too, right? Like,
but Tim, I don't necessarily think that. I think that there's more bad people that agree with it though. Like I think that's kind of the mob rule that comes into my mind about it, where it's just like, or it's like the cancellation of like, just of a democracy of just like, well, yeah, you can just, because like honestly, if assassination's okay, then like it's pretty much okay. Like it's as long as you find the justification, it's okay for anybody, right?
What? But the justification does matter to me, though.
I think it does too, but it's like that's a matter of perspective, and that's the part where this is hairy, because it's like
it's definitely hairy,
right? Exactly. It's like it's like, yeah, well, like if someone decides like, oh well, the president of this country is like, you know, not doing this much here, but it's like another country agrees with them, another one like, you know, another one has like, you know, major issues with them too and agree with it. It's like it gets, it's definitely very, because it's like, well, who decides on it? Like, do the people decide on it? And also too, who goes through with it? That's the other thing too. It's like, because we all just do the like, oh yeah, we're just gonna send like, you know, the elite, the Navy SEALs after.
Yeah, no, we got guys for this shit, right? Like,
I mean, I think it's a bit more of like if you're really trying to do that much, you should be willing to put your own life on the line like that. Just kind of what I'm figuring with that type of thing. When you're just like talking about like assassinating like a world leader and stuff like that, like that's like, well, is the country gonna vote on this or something? like I don't know. Like you're gonna like cause this huge rift in like global politics, and there's like,
I mean, I have my own like anarchistic ideas about how an ideal society would be set up to handle things like that. That's definitely a thing for a different project. But
I know. Well, once you win the revolution, Tim,
then yeah, go ahead. But yeah, I mean, I think you'll be waiting for quite a while on that one.
I think so too. I do think so too. Anyway.
Yep. Laws of nature don't apply here. Yeah, that line. Donna returns to the White House, and then Toby talks to Sam Malone.
No. There was like a whole Toby is trying to comfort Sam, talking about his own dumb mistake, where he was a young kid working for some like New York City Council candidate, set up a press conference about some tax scandal this guy was in, and he turned off the air conditioning so that the reporters would be motivated to end the press conference quickly. But instead, his own candidate passed out, and he got absolutely destroyed in the campaign. And that's a funny story, and you definitely fucked up there, Toby. But it doesn't translate into why Sam should still be involved in this administration or this campaign.
It's he kind of made a way bigger fuck up.
Yeah.
For a way bigger person.
Right, exactly.
Or somebody. Stupid shit. But then the president had Josh come in. I kind of missed the scene a little bit. I think the president was grilling him on just I need these whip votes. You need to make sure.
Passes. That's the next scene after this.
Okay, what happened before that? Was that another?
Oh no. My notes, anyways, go from conversation between Leo and Fitz, Toby talking to Sam, and then we go into Bartlett in the Oval Office. I think he's having a meeting with some people, and then after that meeting, the whole team is briefing him on everything that's going on.
Yeah, that's what.
But Josh is trying to tell him, "Sir, we're trying to get you out of this gala, this big play performance for the Archdiocese." And Bartlett, I mean, honestly, I'm sad that you didn't get to see this. Bartlett kind of goes the fuck off on Josh. Double barrels. He's like, hey, who the fuck said that we're going to cancel without talking to me? I'm a devout Catholic. I've known the Archbishop for 40 years. I committed to this gala. Why are we canceling? B, why did you put this on my schedule without knowing what the fuck Richie was going to do? And then he goes hey, what's up with this fucking wealth? Because they were like, oh, we rescheduled the welfare thing to get you out of this gala. Mm-hmm. And we need to get this welfare thing right because Amy is on it. And he's like, Josh, true or false? If I replaced you with your girlfriend, my life would be a whole lot easier. He said, you gave away tobacco for pennies on the dollar. Why is it that for every good thing you do around here, we have to put up with 3 different screw-ups? And he said, get the damn votes.
Why am I even giving you the chance?
Right.
You're Captain Fuck Up.
But that line is true or false? If I replaced you with your girlfriend, my life would be a whole lot easier. That's a line right there.
Well, that's also just true with how dirty she plays and everything too.
Right. And and that's another note I have later on is that Amy is until the end, Amy just seems way more energetic and effective than any actual activist on the left.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
these leftist activists aren't out there really affecting national policy.
Oh no, they're most of them are protest cages, for sure. Unless there's some folks who try to work with people, but
it never goes their way, and it doesn't go Amy's way. So I guess it is kind of accurate. But
you got something by your mic, bud?
Do I?
Maybe. Oh no, I'm just hearing static. Maybe it's me.
I am hearing static, but
okay. But anyway, continuing on. CJ and the bodyguard Simon have flirty work, and she almost kisses him. Flirty him walking her to the door, and she almost kisses him.
Right, and she almost kisses him, and then they break apart, and then immediately we see multiple people drive up and like there's a person by the door. So it's just like, how many of Agent Gibbs's team just saw him almost kiss his protectorate?
Yeah.
That's the only note I have about this team.
Oh.
Oh,
Didn't mean to do that.
we are a well-oiled audio.
Yeah, especially today. Josh and Amy exchange some harsh words. While Josh basically kind of threatens to go nah, I'm gonna I'll end I'll end.
Yeah, no, he is not fucking around. He's like, I'm the one they send to visit the people who weren't on our side during these fights.
Yeah.
Tough talk for Mr. Josh.
Yeah, and yeah, he's not budging, and then they're not staying together. That little cute romance they had before is gone now. Leo and the president talk outside the Oval Office, and Leo's asking are we attacking Kamar? Are we gonna actually we going to go through with this? President's got yeah, there's moral absolutes.
There's moral absolutes.
Yeah.
Now, dude, where do you stand on the idea of moral absolutes? This is something I often wonder about you, Killian, in all of our conversations. Where do you stand on the idea of moral absolutes?
I'm you stand on one side or the other of them when it's not a gray area.
Well,
I mean,
do you think it's a gray area?
Moral absolutes?
No, the act of killing someone. Is that a gray area? Because the ideas that Leo is espousing here is that sometimes you just need to kill someone.
Yeah, but is this one of those situations?
Are there those situations? Because Bartlett is kind of saying, no, murdering, assassinating. So it's kind of going back to assassinating someone is just always wrong.
I would say overall, it's wrong. I wouldn't say that's the thing. I wouldn't say it's an overall absolute, but I think there's ways to measure these things, and that's it's a little complicated because that kind of blurs the line of it, and because people start justifying because you say it's
go back to Hitler. If you had the chance to assassinate Hitler in 1933, you would obviously take that. That just seems like an absolute morally correct thing to do.
But who's to say the Holocaust still wouldn't happen?
I mean, maybe it would, but still, killing Hitler, never a wrong thing to do in my book.
Well, that's the thing, Tim, is that you don't know if that could make things worse either than what they actually were.
Maybe. Well, Hitler was the voice of restraint in the Nazi Party.
Huh?
Hitler was the voice of restraint in the Nazi Party.
No, not necessarily, but he might have been more replaced with an even bigger reactionary, or someone else who could have logistically elongated the war.
Yeah, someone who would have listened to his generals and not opened up a second front against Russia.
Right. Something like that. And it's it's all these little things because it's and this is just kind of going back to that little time is we're kind of driving off with this, but the time machine thing. It's I think it's kind of unhealthy to think about that because it's the what ifs is it's you could do the what ifs, but it happened this way and you should just accept it and move on.
Right. And many different people did try to assassinate.
No, to their credit. To their credit, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's I wouldn't. It just depends on what's going on, and that's the thing. You don't even really know exactly what's going to happen for it exactly. You don't know what it's going to ripple into. You don't know what you're causing, and in such with a situation like this, I would say you don't know what you're getting into with it. It's just because I think about the precedent sense,
right?
And it's because it's kind of when Trump bombed Syria or something. It's it's us unprovoked bombing the country.
Or when we took out Saddam.
Yeah.
It's Saddam was objectively a monster, but also his tyrannical regime was also holding down a great big balloon of shit that all exploded all over that entire region once he was gone.
And then a foreign country coming in there and saying we're
right, and then our continued presence continually made things worse.
Yes,
absolutely,
exactly. And it's Yeah, it's the thing. It's like those moral. Because I was honestly thinking of like the whole time in this scenario, I wasn't thinking Hitler. I was thinking Osama bin Laden.
Well, that's a great question, and I actually have I brought up Pakistan, or I had Pakistan written down in my notes earlier because this, I think later on, maybe in this episode, it was either in this episode or the next, where Bartlett is like, well, obviously, if we kill this guy, that's gonna lead to war with Kumar, and then I think to like what happened with Osama and Pakistan, where like we found out that Pakistan was literally sheltering Osama bin Laden.
Yep.
They had him holed up in a mansion across the street from their military headquarters. And in response to that, we did not go to war with Pakistan. They did not declare war on us after we like covertly sent a mission into their
country. Like we sent train killers into their country to like
and we didn't tell them because we knew that they would tip them off if we told them. So we just went in there and killed them. And afterwards, nothing happened. We didn't even cut their fucking international aid after that. We are still giving them hundreds of millions of dollars a year in aid, even after we knew that after we found out that they had spent years harboring our public enemy number one.
I know some conspiracy theorists would say that like the real Osama was dead since the 80s, and they've had like this actor do the thing for him. But like, I mean, yeah, I mean, because that whole relationship is very strange, and I think it's very.
It is.
Yeah, it totally is, because it is like, it's all a little because it's just like they're not that non-hostile. Like we're not that non-hostile to other countries that like. Especially doing something like that. I mean, we would with Saudi Arabia too, dude.
Right. And like Saudi Arabia literally committed an assassination on U.S. territory. They fucking killed Jamal Khashoggi on U.S. territory. Yep. And they have not been penalized by the U.S. in any way, shape, or form for that.
No. And they're not getting rewarded for it either. I should really point that out.
They have gotten further concessions under both the Trump and Biden administration since all of that happened.
Tim, I get some of that, but it's like in terms of like global relations and stuff, they're like still like Saudi Arabia still is a relatively independent player. They're not like there's like they depend on America for some things, but they don't depend on America the way that we'd like, despite the compromises, despite these like awful compromises that are like ruining national security for America.
Right, but they have so much leverage over us, anyways, that like they can tell Biden, hey, we want more weapons from you if you want to keep your bases in our territory.
Yeah.
But
that kind of dependence,
yes, sir.
That kind of dependence on that, yeah.
I mean, right now they're talking. Biden is going to fucking sign a mutual defense treaty so that if Saudi Arabia ever goes around attacking people, we're going to have to be fully on board, which is a situation that we already have with quite a bit of the rest of the world. And it's
just another to the list. Like
yeah, exactly.
They president basically just understands that it's like he wants to nab him, but Leo's like, we're gonna have to kill him. President's overall is like, okay, we're gonna greenlight it. But then we have the finale. CJ starts off with the press, and she is an absolute gunslinger of dodging questions and being
no, she's just loose. She's easy. She's having fun out there.
Dip, dodge, dip, dive, and duck. And dodge. Tells the president is going to meet with Sharif later on that afternoon. Leo doesn't want to meet a guy who he's going to have to fry.
Right, yeah, no, Leo keeps talking about how when he takes his daughter to a seafood place, she names the lobsters in the tank so that you can't get the lobster.
Good, he can just take his enemies and compare them to a human being, compare them to an animal right away.
Right,
that's that good.
Oh, I think it's something that the U.S. is very good at.
Just comparing people to animals,
right?
And then making movies about making animals with people eyes and horrible. The president then talks about the national. Yeah, they talk about the president goes to the Situation Room, and they talk about the National Security Act, and the president has to carry out the action, these covert actions, and which is kind of funny considering later on this little conversation that they're having that him and Leo have. But they tell the president, like, hey, when you meet with them, could you please bring him this bug pen? And I thought at first they're gonna bring him like, oh, here's the assassination oil, here's that like weird thing to give him, like, you know, like you hear like Doctor Strangelove or any of these old spy movies.
It is very, but it is very weird. Like all the hoops. Yeah, it can't be the CIA who kills him. It's got to be the military. But it can't be the military on U.S. soil. It's got to be the military on Bermudan soil. It's got to be. Can't be the FBI. Doing the investigation. It's got to be the CIA.
The CIA is they're busy. They're selling drugs to kids and
right, exactly. I mean, they got that going on. They got a full-time job swinging coke.
But the president says, I'm not giving this pen to him. Box it, and then I'll give it to him. Josh and Amy talk about Senate votes at breakfast, arguing over it. Josh won't budge. He knows that they're going to win. Know that he's got enough power to just put the squeeze on him. Charles is at an ex-assistant's house and who does not want him there, and he wants her to take Mrs. Lanningham's secretary job. And we learned that she was fired from the White House, and she's very eccentric. And
yeah, I like her. She's great.
Her name's Deborah. That's what I got. Deborah. Simon, the bodyguard.
Deborah Fitterer, because it takes her a while later to get her last name.
Yeah. Right. The Simon, the bodyguard, brings a total security risk with him to the White House to like watch his protectee. His little brother mentor. He's a big brother, which is totally impressive for CJ.
Very overwrought scene where they're like literally just like start fucking.
Yes. Oh my god. And I said right there, I got up and I yelled at the TV, "Shoot that guy!" That's exactly what I did.
Right, like suddenly the rest of the Secret Service, they're just like, "Why are you attacking this agent?" Like, they just shoot the kid dead in the middle of the White House.
I was talking about the other guy, but I see the point with it. Then we get president with Richie. Yeah, the president is with Richie. They talk about the War of Roses. Yeah, War of the Roses musical. And he asks, and President Bartlett asks Richie. Like,
he's not. That's not Richie. He's talking to Stanley there.
He's talking to Stanley. Sorry, yeah, it's there. Oh yeah, I forgot. That wasn't because Richie was later on. He gave the little.
Richie is the governor of Florida, who's going to be Bartlett's opponent.
Oh, Florida. I thought it was Louisiana or something, but he definitely did the whole Bush-esque little like, "Huh, you're a son of a bitch." You know
yeah, exactly. You can just call him George Bush because that's absolutely who he is.
But like, twice as smart George Bush pre 9/11. Like, therapist talks about he asks his therapist if he could do a crime, would he do it? If he can get away with a crime.
I do have to love the look on Stanley's face. Am I still on?
Yeah. I'm a little frozen, but are you on? You want to go?
I think I'm on.
Okay. I can't see you moving.
Yeah, I could. You're frozen to me, but
okay. Well, it is what it is. At least you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Well, anyway, we get what if he would? Like
the look on Stanley's face as that meeting ends, like that's a guy who's got serious fucking questions about his government.
Yeah. Josh tries to whip votes with Democrats that need women's votes. So I'm guessing.
Right. And this is the note where I have where like Amy is better at her job than any real life leftist activist because like she snaps her finger and she's got like 6 Democratic congressmen in a room ready to jump to her too.
Yeah. Yep. Ready to fight for it. So here is Shamir is the Shamir meeting goes with the president. There's a translator there. It's very awkward because the president obviously wants to kill this guy. Offers Shahir offers a handshake, to which the president refuses.
Yeah. No, he's really bad at this.
Yes.
And it's like if I were Sharif, I would immediately be like, "Oh no, something's going on."
Something is wrong. Like he wants to. You should have the Gustavo Fring instinct of
Yeah,
They,
we're
they
changing planes and shit. For
yeah.
sure.
For sure. 1 second. All right. Well, I'm not sure where we're getting with this. Okay, we get to the Toby and Sam talk Diplo logistics with Richie's rep about where they're going to be at this fucking War of the Roses play. Who they come in?
Yeah, no. Basically, like these are, I think, congressmen from Florida being like, "Hey, if you meet with Richie tonight, if the president like meets with Richie tonight, we will deliver these votes."
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's basically it. Nothing.
And they pass on that.
Yeah. Charlie. Oh yeah, Charlie and Sam talk about Richie Congress drama. I don't know what they were talking about. Sam and Toby here.
Yeah, no, they were talking about. All right, so yeah, like this congressional delegation from Florida is like, meet with Richie. We'll deliver the votes you need to pass welfare. And then I think Sam is like, we should go ahead and do that. We should leak to the press that the Florida delegation is trying to, jam up this welfare vote. They're putting political interests over the common good of Americans. And then Toby's like, that's risky because if we don't pass this welfare vote, it looks like Richie's the one who stepped in and stopped it. Makes him look like he's better at politics than us.
Okay. Okay. And then we get Charlie and the White House reject. Wasn't Donna again? I forgot her name.
Debbie Fitterer.
Debbie Fitterer. He gets her ready for her meeting with the president. The little interview. She's totally whacked out on a couple of Percocets.
Well, yeah, because like Charlie steamrolled her in that earlier meeting. He's like, "I don't give a fuck what you're saying. I'm sending a car to take you to this job interview." And she was understandably super nervous, so she popped a few pills.
Yeah, because she didn't want to do it. And then the president proceeds to like look at her and hate her because she's very vague and imprecise and not like Mrs. Lanningham at all. To which he kicks her out, and Charlie says, "We're gonna try again. I don't care how many times you do it. I'm gonna make sure you get this job." Leo tells.
Right. Well, and Bartlett has a great line here too, where he's like, "If this is a joke, if you bring me this like whacked out, what is it, llama or alpaca?
Alpaca farmer.
If this is a joke, it's both hilarious and well executed, but it's not a joke."
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Leo's in the situation. He's in the situation room and he talks. Sharif's arrest or death, and the president has to agree. Yeah, they agree that they're going to give the president's going to get the green light to do this at the last possible moment.
Because that's always when you want to do highly complex military operations at the last possible moment.
Well, I kind of figure the idea of this is that like you basically set it all up.
Right, exactly.
So like it's like the pressure is on. It's just kind of like.
Right, exactly. It's like we got this team waiting at this British airfield in Bermuda. We got a CIA agent or I guess the Air Force agent on the plane with Sharif. It's everything in place, sir. Otherwise, this guy is just, I guess, going to Kumar for a while.
Yeah. The bodyguard is very protective of CJ in front of the motorcade when they're in front of the play, when they're going to the play.
Oh yeah, he's big mad about this.
Yep. Complete flirty oblivion. He's like, "You're just trying to like not work with me, and I'm just trying to protect you." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm flirting with you, you idiot." And Then he gets a phone call and sees that, oh, well, the guy that was, stalking CJ is now dead. And, they don't have to worry anymore. They just have paperwork between them.
Passionately kiss immediately.
Yep. And then the War of the Roses play begins and has this funeral for Henry V and like a big monologue over that. Sam and Toby are in the lobby talking about baseball and
they find out that Richie has decided he's missing the start of the play because he went to the Yankee game instead.
Oh, okay.
Because he's making a point about how real Americans watch baseball while effete, limousine liberals like to go to the theater.
Yeah, especially a Yankee game too. Like, wow,
right.
Like a Yankee game, like that fucking Southerner going to watch the Yanks play. I mean, that would be my response too to that.
Right.
Like, well, you want to play this fucking like rural, like who could be more American, brother? You're gonna watch the fucking Yankees. You know how many Americans across? Like, I don't know much about baseball, but you know how many Americans hate the fucking Yankees as a baseball team? I know a lot of baseball fans that despise that.
Oh, everyone who's not a Yankees fan, they're the Patriots or the Cowboys
or the Lakers
or the Lakers. Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just like like the most popular like unbeaten team that's like that's like kept the fucking pennant forever. It's like, yeah, no, you hate those motherfuckers. The one that Babe Ruth like ended up like getting bought out to. Yes, of course, everyone hates those motherfuckers.
But then Sam seizes on the idea of they're going to pull a Chris Christie on his ass. They're gonna send they're gonna send the presidential motorcade downtown to Yankee Stadium to jam up the traffic.
Yeah, to really make them fucking late. Yeah, and then Toby has a little joke of like, well, Amy's very employable, make sure that happens.
Right, well, Josh has executed his maneuver. I think we find out here, and then it's elaborated on earlier. Basically, what Josh has done is he has gone and, I mean, this is a very Josh maneuver. I forget what she got. She got an appointment to some presidential advisory council. Basically.
Oh, Amy did because he.
No, and not Amy. Not Amy.
Oh, her boss.
Amy's boss.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, I went and bought her boss.
Oh yeah, so he just like went to go like bribe an official, like he's.
Like I said, it's a very Josh maneuver. Yeah.
Just go up there, and I wonder if there's brass knuckles in his pocket that the Secret Service lets him like bring into the White House every day.
Just for him to get in character. Yeah.
But he knows Josh knows they're gonna win the vote by 8. Toby and Sam recite they recite nerd figures on the red carpet to a bunch of like awning reporters, which is more like Aaron Sorkin.
You're absolutely right. This is Aaron Sorkin fantasy here.
Yeah, it's like of nerding out statistics and like journalists being like, wow, they're really smart.
And look at these guys. When is the last fucking time you have ever seen any White House staffer who's not the press secretary on camera? It does not happen.
Or if they are on camera, it's like about something bad.
Yeah, exactly. They'd be asking Sam about his relationship with hookers, or
like, hey, why'd you steal this lady's like suitcase and like take her clothes? Like, obviously, like that's kind of crazy. Like, why'd you do that? Like, I didn't know this guy worked for the White House. This guy's weird.
Like, that's weird.
And then Charlie tells the president about the meeting with Deborah.
Yeah, we're going to have Newell on the meeting, and he's like, are you pledging a frat or something? This is fucking weird. And Charlie reveals that Debbie Fitterer had been in White House recruitment, and she was the one that sent him to Josh for the presidential aide job. And that's why she got fired.
Wait, she sent him to Josh?
Well, in the first episode, it's like the very first, it's either the first or the second episode of the entire series.
Uh-huh.
Josh meets with Charlie to interview him.
Oh, yeah?
For being the president's aide.
Okay.
Debbie was the lady who set him up for that job.
Right, who hired him. But I was wondering, why'd she get fired for hiring him?
Stay tuned, my friend.
That's next season?
Yeah, we are not done with this storyline yet.
Okay. because I was wondering what the answer to that was still, and I was just like, I wonder if I don't think I missed it, but yes. Then we have Simon the bodyguard is at the corner store. Is at a corner store wanting to buy a Milky Way and a rose for his newfound love out there. To which he sees that the very nervous, I'm assuming Korean or Asian,
Racist, but yes.
yes,
Go
yeah,
on.
no, I mean, but their whole perception of this was racist too. Like, I mean, I do gotta say, like, it is, like, I'm just like,
Wasn't the Robert White? Am I misremembering that?
no, the guys were white. It just that like the bodega owner being an Asian guy, like getting robbed at gunpoint, like in New York, and like like on 98th and Broadway, like all that's pretty just like I don't know, but I guess it's a heroic scene because he notices that this very nervous Asian.
Well, he notices this guy is nervous. He notices the cash register is empty, and he notices there's a shifty guy standing like right behind him. So he turns and he's like, he holds the guy at gunpoint and is like being very cocky.
Yeah, and takes holds the guy at one point. Guy like surrenders, and then he zip ties him with I guess his zip ties that he has, keeps in his pocket at all times. Gets away NYPD down there and says, "If I don't get a Milky Way, I'm just gonna." And then he gets shot by his buddy who was standing on the side. Which this whole situation, this whole fucking like robbery standoff would not have gone down like that either.
No,
this whole scenario is so.
You got to case the entire joint. There's one armed robber. You got to check the rest of the vicinity.
Right.
Other
like
perpetrators.
Him putting his guard down so much is just like, wow. So like you really are like the worst. Like you really like with any of those situations where it's like, yeah, this place is getting robbed right now. Like I don't know like how, if you're like a trained professional like that, you wouldn't be like trying to like clear the area and like or even check with the fucking cash. You just go back to business like, okay, that's over, like it's a fucking video game. Like like you just like finished your quest and you're just pressing the A button. But yeah, it totally gets like shot up and the other guy escapes, and then they call and tell CJ the news. We have Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah.
Yeah, Dino drop Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah.
Yeah. As she cries in New York, and then Amy and Josh are arguing about the marriage incentives and the fight that they have in general over all this stuff. And I mean, that's the thing too. It's like wow, they're a bad couple if they just can't like come to a conclusion. And they even just talk like we are, where it's just like, well, yeah, under these circumstances they're fucked. But I understand that their perspective is like this is a real thing with their job, where jobs are on the line and there's real issues at hand, and like, and she's very concerned. Like she doesn't want like single mothers to be punished just to like appeal to like white Republican voter, to like appeal to like. She keeps saying white men, but I'm like, yeah, believe me, honey, white women love this shit too.
Right, but then Josh is also coming at her with like, I mean, it's the same line that you're going to get from every Biden supporter in every conversation about politics now. Yeah. Anytime you say anything negative about Biden, they hit back with, well, do you want Trump to win?
Yeah.
And Josh just hits her with the like, Richie's going to be way worse for women than Bartlett. Why is that not a consideration?
And she's like, wow, I get to choose between two awful people who are going to be terrible for me. That makes me want to run to the polling booth.
Yeah, exactly.
And like not find other ways outside electoralism.
As true 22 years ago as it is today, unfortunately.
Because for them it works. All right.
But then they find out that Jason Gibbs has been shot, and yeah.
Yep, and President and Leo meet up in the empty lobby. The president. It goes back to the conversation of like the president wants him tried, not killed.
But Leo, I think Leo's kind of summing it up here though too. Of like, yeah, it's wrong, but you gotta fucking do it because you're the president. And there is some bad shit that the president has to do, and you're the president, so you have to do this bad thing.
But that kind of just gets back to the thing of like, well, but we elect this guy, and then like he gets into office, and then these like smart people in other suits who they trust more come up to them and say, now look, like, like you're in the seat, so that means you have to do this shit. Like, you have to do this shit. Like, you have to. And I just kind of wonder, it's just like, well, what agency do we have in any of this? If
I
this,
mean,
if
all right.
they can just go up to them and tell them this is what the situation is.
I
and
do
you have
take
to
your
do this.
point. I do take your point. There is a scene earlier where Leo and Fitz meet with what they call the Gang of Hate,
Yeah.
which is the Speaker of the House, the Senate Majority Leader, and the heads, the ranking Democrats on the ranking Democrat and ranking Republican on both the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Intelligence Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in theory, the way the system is drawn up is that there is that is supposed to be a check on like the administration's power of doing this kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right, it's supposed to
presumably these other group of powerful people, if they super disagree with it, they would squeal or they would do something that would like interrupt this action.
But they're only in those positions because they're good little boys who are going to let actions like this go.
Right.
I think that's what I think we're about to get at that.
Yeah, our entire system is so corrupt that you could make the argument that no action is moral because, like, we the people. I mean, if it goes back to like we the people need agency, then like our entire system is hopelessly broken.
Yeah.
Which I think might be where we're at, but like, yeah.
Well, and that's the other thing too, because like the biggest part about that we have any control over is like the Democrats or Republicans in the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is like.
Well, I mean, we don't even have any control on that whatsoever.
Right, dude. Like it's like literally over all that.
We could vote for like Randy Bryce to go to Congress, but like it's Hakeem Jeffries who's going to decide if he gets to sit on the Intelligence Committee.
Yeah, that's that's totally fucked, dude.
Yeah, it's Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer who. For like the Democrats are making those choices, like, and for the Republicans it gets even worse. It's whatever the dude who watches Ford with his son and Mitch McConnell right now. It's bad.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good no matter how you slice it. Yeah, but yes, it goes down to that because you won. Because it happens because you won.
Yeah, you have to do this because you won the goddamn election.
And if you don't do it, you're gonna go for a little ride down Dallas, and you're not gonna come back from it. And then someone else who won, Lyndon Johnson, then won, and he got to make the decisions because he knew what happened because he saw the blood spatter all over Jackie O, as he was being sworn in. Then the President Bartlett lights up a nice shiggy in the lobby. I was like, thought of you right away. And then Richie comes.
That's the kind of president I would be. Like that is the element of Bartlett.
The chain smoking president.
Yeah, I would be the chain smoking president. I think I've said this before. Everywhere I go, all right.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Then Richie comes in and meets in the lobby. And Richie, this guy does give like the George Bush impression.
No, he is a George Bush caricature for sure.
Especially with like the little lip thing. It's like he does the Will Ferrell little lip thing of just like the. Which is like really funny because it's just this is written after 9/11 and after Bush won and after
I think Sorkin 100% conceived of this character as soon as George Bush won. I believe that entirely.
As soon as he won?
As soon as he won. He was so mad that George Bush won.
Okay.
And he brought Eli Addy on, who was Al Gore's speechwriter, and Eli Addy was so mad that George Bush won that they together conceived of this this George Bush caricature that they could just beat up on throughout this entire election storyline.
But it's funny because the reasons that you and I beat up on George Bush
are different than the reasons why someone like Aaron Sorkin and Eli Addy would want to beat up on George Bush.
Because what they're beating him up on is that he's
too dumb. He's too dumb to be president.
And it's like, and here's the other weird thing: they buy into the whole trope of like the whole like, oh yeah, well he's like more of a common man thing, where it's like George W. Bush was a fucking Connecticut boy was a Connecticut fucking like he's
Yale
just like
graduate,
Bartlett.
Yale graduate, raised in Connecticut, New England. Yeah, you're exactly right.
The character of Jed Bartlett has a better chance with his name of going down to Texas and doing that and actually becoming a more genuine Texan. That would be more genuine.
You're absolutely right.
But but as you say, Tim, it's like these writers, they kind of focus more on just that little like haughty, like nose in the air approach, which is really just an attack on just like middle Americans that they don't like. That would vote Republican.
They middle Americans for electing George Bush.
Yeah, they do. They do. And then we go back to the War of the Roses musical, and there's
all right. All right. I want to say when the president is talking to Stanley, he explicitly says, "Oh no, the show is not a musical. They sometimes sing songs during it." But then we see this song. This is a musical number.
Yes.
I don't give a fuck. This is a musical number.
This was very much like Can You Hear the People Sing in Les Miserables, with a little kid singing it first, and then a big chorus of people come around, and they're all waving like red, white, and blue flags. Like it's just like, okay, so you're gonna fucking tell me here this isn't like the fucking like before the intermission song.
This is War of the Roses, the musical. Absolutely.
And on a lesser note, there's a montage of while they're singing about this song about glorious peace, the assassination that the president greenlighted is like connecting.
Which I feel like on one level Sorkin is trying to make a comment on the nastiness of like realpolitik, of like the bad things nation states sometimes have to do to ensure their own security, and like what an evil, gray, ugly world we all live in. But at the same time, I think he's also kind of trying to like uplift and lionize that whole thing too.
Really? I mean,
no, like the president definitely seems torn up, and he's not presenting this as like a good thing. I suppose he's not. He is.
Like the cross to bear.
He is trying to like look at this like glorious in war shall be victorious in war shall be glorious in peace. While we are just like straight up assassinating someone in the dark.
Well, yeah, and it should be noted that this conflict the show that they're watching is based off of a very bloody conflict of internal politics that's like now being glorified hundreds of years later.
Yeah, exactly. And where like little kids were murdered and shit as well. Like
I mean, because you go back to a point, like I'm going back to like Fitz Wallace's little conversation of like, well, we would have had to explain a statue of an assassin to our kids, which is like, yeah, I mean, but that's like happened before too. Like, it definitely has happened before, but like, but you also look at many examples in history where it hasn't worked out that well, just because of whatever reasons. So I can kind of get what some of it is, because I even think with like other there are examples of like nation statery where it's like, yeah, this is fucking hairy here, and even the decision that they made, like I think in retrospect, even those people would have like not gone with that, or they thought this was like the right thing to do at the time, or they were manipulated by other sources, or it's just like they fucked up and they made the call based on their own morals and judgments and ethics. Like,
and I feel like, but like what was also happening in the real world was both. We were trying to assess, like, basically. Here's one thing I'll say as a criticism of like how Sorkin is portraying all of this. I guess I'm kind of just interpolating what was going on in the real world onto what he's saying here.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2001, where we were not only trying to assassinate Osama bin Laden, because we absolutely were. We were torturing people by the dozens and like conducting, clandestine illegal operations all over the world with the specific goal of trying to find Osama bin Laden and kill him.
Yep.
It was a quest that would go on for like another 10 years until we finally got him in 2011. At the same time, we were also conducting a massive invasion of Afghanistan. And like in this episode, the way it's framed is like either we kill this guy or we invade Kumar and have a big messy invasion. And like what America chose to do in the real world was both.
Yep. Two messy invasions and an assassination.
Right. So it's like yes, he's trying to make a comment on how like bad and messy and gray this like realpolitik nation statery is, but he's still presenting a like morally clean, like a cleaner, less messy version of the same shit that was playing out in America at the time.
Yeah.
Where like every single Democrat except like Russ Feingold and a couple others wholeheartedly voted for military action in Afghanistan, while we were also conducting all those like illegal clandestine operations trying to assassinate Osama bin Laden.
Yep. And also, denying civil liberties.
Denying civil liberties, like all that shit, right? Like this entire lead up to this is a glorification of the surveillance state that like the entire country at that time, aside from Russ Feingold, was like wholeheartedly behind.
Yep. Yep. The thing that today that like Republicans are complaining about of like
Right.
it's all censored and we're being surveilled. It's like, well, y'all didn't care about this 20 years ago. You were really encouraging it 20 years ago.
Right. Well, and then if you look at like any time there's a new law about like we want to take over TikTok and we want to like surveil the entire internet to protect the kids. Like you get both shit tons of Republicans and Democrats both behind all of those initiatives.
Yep. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. I just think it was also kind of funny. Just how much this little fake musical was ripping off Les Mis too.
That is also very funny.
In my head, it's just like, man, you couldn't even like because even
especially when they were so clear that it's not Shakespeare the musical, but then the one part they show of us is just like here's a straight up Les Mis ripoff, but like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he knew what to write for the play, so he just was like, I want to write like a song here and then like a Shakespeare monologue.
I guess Sorkin has not written. I mean, Sorkin famously wrote A Few Good Men, right? He wrote that play, which then became that's how his entertainment career got started. He can write plays, but I don't think he's ever done a musical before.
No, musicals are hard. Like music's. I'm not gonna say it's like hard. Yeah, it ain't fucking easy. I know that much. Some people disagree. I'm not gonna disagree. But that is the third season of The West Wing, and I'm predicting the fourth season is like going to go into the real ditches and digs.
It's general election season, baby.
Yep. And I'm excited to find out about Deborah. Like, what's her deal? Like,
stay tuned for that. No, we're not.
I imagine she got fired for like gambling with public funds or something. Like, that sounds like she sounds fun. Like, it's like I want to do. Was she the person who was driving the car who hit Mrs. Lanningham? Well, that was a teenager. She sounds really fun.
She was like on the bender and like killed adults. Oh man, that would be very funny.
She got caught like jerking off a guy. Like she went to the musical too. She got caught jerking off a guy who was like a Democrat, who was like a Republican informant. Like it's like wow, she sounds fun. Like. But I guess that's our review of the finale. I guess we'll be back with the beginning of the fourth season.
Yeah, we will be watching the two parts of beginning of the fourth season, 20 Hours in America, parts 1 and 2. Wow. Next week.
20 hours and 20 hours and an hour and a half in America. We'll see.
Yeah.
See you there. But until next time, folks, keep working.
Keep on working.